Hello and welcome to Make Me Pretty Upcycling. Today I want to talk to you about upcycling workshops. Where is the value? Why should you do one? I thought long and hard about this before I did my first workshop myself, and in the end I decided that it was an investment in me because I knew I wanted to keep upcycling. The other thing is it's very confusing out there looking at videos, and coming from New Zealand, I found a lot of the videos were American, so the products that they talked about we couldn't get in New Zealand, and they had different names for them which I found confusing, and the more videos I watched the more confused I became. So by doing an upcycling workshop, you are working in a small group environment and it's hands-on. So you're actually doing it. You're finding out what you're doing wrong and you're being corrected or guided in how to do it better. I think you learn best by your mistakes, but sometimes mistakes in upcycling can be costly. So that's the reason I provide upcycling workshops. I've been doing this for a while now, and prior to doing this, I used to work in the travel industry. And then I purchased with some friends my own tourism and travel school. So I'm good at passing on knowledge. Okay, so what workshops do I offer? Firstly, Make Me Pretty Upcycling is based in Christchurch. So for those of you that are watching elsewhere in New Zealand, I'm sorry. I do have people come from Timaru and Queenstown, so you can tie in the dates with a visit if you're lucky enough to be visiting. So I have a number of workshops. What they all have in common is they come with a beautifully professional bookshop which has everything you need to know. I found as a tutor, when you're learning, you get overloaded with information and you can't remember for the life of you. So it's all here in the book. Getting Started 101 is my most popular course, and I provide it for people that have done very little or no painting, and it takes you through everything right from woe to go. So from where to get your pieces, what to look for, what to run away from, what's involved with your prep, the sanding, and I go into details such as there's 3 different types of sandpaper and there's different grits and what should you choose. Again, this is to save you making mistakes. The book itself is a fabulous resource. If I just turn to, I don't know, let's just, undercoating. Why undercoat? And I take you through the whys and wherefores, and I introduce you to one of my preferred products, which is the Zinsser Bullseye, which is a undercoat primer sealer and stain blocker. Also, you can get your Zinsser undercoat tinted, which I do, because for dark colours you're much better to use a darker undercoat, anything but white. And it's the same with colours like mustard and red. They are very hard to cover, and generally you need 3 or 4 coats, but by using a grey undercoat, you can avoid an extra coat, and obviously it's cheaper to get undercoat than it is to get top coat. So that's what this book is all about. It's also got New Zealand suppliers, so it will have what paints are available and where you get them. This is the paint page on Porters. So some of your supplies you won't get here in Christchurch. You'll have to get them from elsewhere, and I brought a lot on the internet over the years. So this is the book. So that's the first course I have, and it's quite an intense course. It's 3 hours, and I run it in the mornings on Saturdays or Sundays regularly throughout the year. The other course I have, which is a real learning course, is, and again, the clue is in the 101. So it's all about stenciling. This is one of the cheapest ways you can add a really original finishing touch to your product. There are a lot of different stencils out there on the market, and there are different ways you can use them. So that's what this workbook is all about. If I just flick to the content page, you can see a little bit about what the course covers. So I'll take you through what brushes to use, how to stop bleed through, how to store your stencils, basics, I suppose, and then we'll get on to the really interesting stuff, which is the different types of stenciling you can do. And it's things like invisible stenciling, raised stenciling. There's a lot of different mediums, so I take you through what there is on the market. This is one of my little sample boards, and I also experimented with colouring the medium, but you generally paint over it, so you don't need to do that. But you can see how effective quite a simple upside down, how a simple stencil can look have the wow factor by using a raised medium. So that's Stenciling 101. The course is 2.5 hours long, and with all my courses you get a workbook and a project to work on. I have another stenciling course, and this is a really fun one. You get to work on a tray, and I'll provide you with either a metal or a wooden tray. I've got lots and lots of them that I collect. So you'll be able to choose what one you want to work on, and then we'll go through the priming, the top coating, how to stencil, if it's a repeat stencil, how to do that, taping it down so it doesn't move, etc, etc. I have a range of stencils you can use, Parisian. This one here looks particularly good as a raised stencil. This one here might be a bit big for a tray, but I've used it on furniture, you know, very successfully. And then I've got quite a range of French ones, Kiwiana, you name it. So that course, upcycling a wood or metal tray, is about 2.5 hours long. Really fun. The other course I'm really proud of, as well as my getting started because of the depth of knowledge, is this one here, which is PMT, and any woman who's watching that will get the inference. But in this case, it stands for paint, moulds and transfers. I found moulds and transfers quite intimidating to start off with, and I'd watched a lot of videos and I was just confused, and these products aren't cheap. So in this book, you'll work on a sample board using paint, moulds and transfers. So starting with moulds, I have a range of moulds that you can choose. It's all about choice when you do a workshop with me. So I have some of the redesign ones, and I also have some of the Iron Orchard decor ones. So first of all, you can choose your mould, obviously choose your paint. Then we'll look at the different ways of creating with moulds. Firstly, clay. A lot of people use this first because it's very cost effective and it gives you a very natural look. So here are some little moulds I've made with clay. I don't know if you can see a little bee and a little flower. So they add depth to your project. If I just tilt this down, you can see there's a cupboard behind me, and it's got some moulds on it that I've touched up with grey and silver to give it quite a sort of antique look. So transfers and moulds look really well on quite plain furniture. They can zhuzh it up. And here's some of the clay moulds painted. Then you have hot glue gun moulds, and all you need is a hot glue gun for that, and we'll look in the pros and cons of that. And the last sort is a casting resin, which comes like this. It's a 2-pack. And you get 2 products which you mix together, and then you have a short amount of time to use them, and there's little tricks like putting your mould in the microwave before you start, which will help it set. So these are the types of moulds. So as you can see, they're perfect. They don't have the character that the clay moulds get. Clay moulds I like because you can put them on a rounded surface. I don't know if you can see this, but while they're still damp, you glue them, and then once it's dry you can paint. Whereas these ones are quite hard to do, so I tend to use these on flat surfaces. But as you can see, they're beautiful. All moulds are. They really are very pretty, and they're not that difficult to use, but like anything, there are tips and tricks. So the paint, mould and PMT course, and I'll just hold you up that book again, that one's a 3-hour course, and I suppose it's like a next step. So you know the basics of upcycling, and now you're ready to do something very creative, which you can do with paint, but there are other options. The other thing you'll learn in that course is transfers, and again I found these intimidating, especially the bigger ones. So I sell Cuts and Millie, Hocus Pocus transfers, large, small, and these ones which are petite ones. So you'll have a chance to use these and see how well moulds and transfers work together. But they, again, are just a little touch, and they come in gold. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, large and small. So we'll talk about the tips and tricks, and you will use one of these. So after this course, you'll feel very, very confident about using these products. Another course I do is Introduction to Mineral Paints. Now this is a short course, I think it's now just over an hour, but I run it because a lot of people are familiar with chalk paints but not so familiar with mineral paint. So you will get a chance to have a play and compare and contrast the beautiful Carts and mineral paint. And it's a great paint to use. It's self-sealing, so you don't have to worry about varnish or what have you, wax if you don't want to. In summer I run another course, which is this one, BYO, and I just don't have the workbook, but I do have a terrapot course where you turn a pair of pots from this into something a lot more interesting using paints and moulds. So there they are, an investment in you, a money saver ultimately, with saving you from making mistakes, and that's why I recommend upcycling, furniture upcycling courses. So if you're in Christchurch, check out my website www.makemeprettyupcycling.com and you'll see them all listed there. Okay, nice talking to you and happy upcycling.